Ohio State Live every Wednesday night. We're talking Buckeyes on a Thursday night this week with Tony Gerdeman from the Ozone and Steve Hellwagon from Bucknuts. Please join them at their respective sites. You get a taste of the insight and information right here, but dive in there at Bucknuts and also theozone.net. So you mentioned somewhere during that diatribe, Tony, there was a little sliver about Urban Meyer's teams letting down. At least when people bring that up to me, and they use the term, as people like to do, me included, always or never. And it's like, well, okay, it happened twice. It didn't happen like 17 years in a row. It happened twice. Okay. I don't know if that's a trend, but it did happen twice. If Ohio State makes it through this year without having that kind of game, is there any way? I'm asking the impossible question because we're getting into coaching psychology, and Urban Meyer's the master psychologist. This is what he's supposed to be majoring on, that Ryan Day had somehow gotten through to this football team in a different way to avoid that type of letdown.
Mm-hmm. Well, I talked about this on I think our first podcast this week, where Ryan Day, this being his first real foray into all of this, every speech that he's given, it's for the first time, and players are experiencing it for the first time, and it all comes off as very genuine, because I believe he is genuine and natural. With Urban Meyer, who's been doing this much longer and has said many of the same speeches throughout his time, and if you've watched any of Ohio State's hype videos over the years, a lot of it can seem not necessarily forced, but rehearsed maybe, or just not as natural as just conversational rah-rah stuff. And I think maybe sometimes players can tune that out after a while. And when you've got Urban Meyer, who has done this for as long as he has, and he knows what works and what hasn't, and he just sticks with the popular stuff that has worked for him, players can be like, yeah, I've heard that for the last 4 years now, and that's great. And I'm not just talking about losses to Iowa and Purdue. You're talking a number of close wins, an entire 2015 season that was underwhelming, where it's hard to keep these players engaged every single week. And that's what Ryan Day, however he's done it, he's been able to do it. And that's been the most impressive thing. And I think a lot of it is because he's been calling it tough love, showing a lot of love to his team, very open football facility in terms of, all of the doors are open. If you have to go talk to somebody, go do it. Wherever you need to go, whoever you need to see, all of these doors are open for you. And I don't know, maybe there's just a little bit of newness, refreshing. Heck, even Urban Meyer said that after a while things can become stale, and he would have construction projects going on in the WAC after a couple of years, just because sometimes you needed new stuff. You needed to refresh things. And I mean, this has been his biggest, you could say this has been his biggest refreshing project with the new head coach, and handing the program off to Ryan Day. And it's gone pretty well. And it's kind of like at Oklahoma, that was the perfect handoff. At Ohio State, this feels like the perfect handoff. And it's, as Urban Meyer learned from Bob Stoops, it's like the one last great thing you can do as a head coach is to turn the program over and keep that momentum going. And that's what's happened.
James Scott, thank you so much. You do this each and every week, multiple times, not just on this stream, but the other live shows and the other live streams that we do throughout the week to try to help out the channel and encourage everyone else to like the videos, because it gets into the recommended videos that you see on YouTube. And we all watch YouTube and see the recommended videos. The stats say if you get into those recommended videos, then the views just skyrocket. Cheryl and others, I'm not going to do a good job of trying to catch up with everybody else, but thank you so much for encouraging others to like the videos.